Wow, we're getting ready to begin this brand new series. The favor of God will turn it in your favor. And yes, I am so impressed by the stories in the Bible. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All of those guys from the Bible. But I'm grateful today that the Lord has presented us with real life testimonies of how His favor has turned it around in someone's favor. So as we celebrate God today, we're going to listen to two powerful testimonies of how God turned someone's story around in their favor. Put your hands together and receive First Lady Jennifer Caraway. She's going to come and share with us a very real and live story. Then also on my right hand, on my left hand side, we have Brother Sterling Harding. He's going to come and share his own beginnings and how God has blessed him tremendously in his current career pursuits. I pray you're being blessed today. Remember, the favor of God is going to turn around in your favor. Let's first start it with Sister Jennifer. Jennifer, if you can, give us a brief description of your educational background, of how old were you when you first entered college, and how old were you when you went back to college to get your first degree?
I started college right out of high school at the age of 18, and then I stopped because I had a child. Then I returned back at the age of 42.
Wow. During that span from 18 to 42, you had a family, you had children, and when you went to school, you were working in the educational field.
Right.
And experienced some obstacles in your pursuit to get your degree. Yeah. Explain those obstacles that you had to endure.
There were many obstacles that I had to endure. I had to, first of all, I had to endure not being able to leave. My supervisor, principal at that time, she didn't want me to leave. And then I had some obstacles even with my co-workers, just building up all these kind of walls to try to get me in trouble, to lose my job. And then another obstacle that I was enduring was myself, because I had went back to school so late in life, so you don't think as fast as you were thinking when you were younger. So I had to deal with that, and I had to overcome that. So I had to be like, I feel that sometimes that the class was moving too fast for me, and everybody that was around me at that time, they were much younger than me. But through it all, God blessed me to grasp what I needed so I can be able to pass. I ended up with a new supervisor, so I was able to leave school. Then I prayed a lot, and those people that was bothering me on my job, they began to come to me and tell me they I have showed them where they can return back to school. So it was a positive and it was a negative, but
Yes.
It was a whole lot that was going on. There was a lot of obstacles that I had to deal with when I decided to return back to school.
So definitely you had to experience some difficult situations to get to where you are today. And we'll share real quickly where you are today. But let's hold right there and let's draw our attention now to Brother Sterling. Sterling, I want you to share with us your experience growing up in St. Louis, Missouri. Very near Ferguson, Missouri. We've seen national headlines about all the negativity in Ferguson. But share with us some of the experiences of growing up in St. Louis.
Yes, sir. Growing up in St. Louis, it was just a really rough environment. The Ferguson situation, it really hit home with us because Ferguson was not a community where the crime and the violence was always that big in Ferguson. It was always looked at as a community where you go move to and you're doing better for yourself. I grew up in inner city Northside St. Louis, and growing up, you thought that was the norm of everyone being in the streets. Everyone's not going to college. Everyone's either going to jail real early, or young kids having kids. That was the norm. It was really rough, and growing up in St. Louis is you become a product of your environment, and I think the thing that hit home with my mom and my faith and things like that with my brothers raising me was to not become a product of my environment, to try to get out. And growing up in St. Louis, it's a certain level of pain, a certain level of survival that never leaves you throughout your life. And I think it has molded me, but at the same time it was really rough.
Wow. You even had some family members murdered in the streets of St. Louis. Describe that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We had my oldest brother got killed in 2012. A couple months before that, my cousin was killed, and it was all around by my mom's house. So when my brother was killed, you know, he was the oldest of us. He was sort of like my father growing up in a sense. He was 6 years older than us, but he's been watching us since we were kids, and that's the one I looked at as my father. And what that done to my family, it put a hole in my mom's heart and the family, as well as his son and his daughter, as well as my brother now and me. And it's just tough to get, when you lose someone that close to you that means that much, because you hear the stories about everyone getting killed, but you never expect it to hit home to you. So as far as the murders and everything that has been going on nationally and in Houston as well, I relate to them very closely, because I know that pain, I know that phone call.
Yes.
And it's just hard, because, you know, after my oldest brother got killed, my second brother, he was shot twice.
Wow.
Shot twice in his back, and he was in the hospital. So receiving that phone call again from my mom and going through all of that, you know, I know what St. Louis is about,
yes.
and I know what it represents, and I know the good side of the perception that a lot of people have. I also know the reality of the city, and
So we're sitting here talking to two individuals, Sterling and Jennifer, who, like Jabez, had a difficult start in life, had to overcome a bunch of obstacles. But like Jabez, the favor of God would turn their story around in their favor. Now listen to this. Jennifer, after going back to school to get your first degree, where are you now in your educational pursuits?
I'm getting ready to graduate in May 23rd with a master's in school counseling.
Oh, give God praise.
Yes.
Give God praise. Now
Yes,
jokingly,
Lord.
you said that when your first son was born, that you were going to go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And how old is your first son?
Right now, my son is 34.
34. But you did not let the time or the clock or the calendar stop you from pursuing your goal. And one thing I like, she said she prayed her way all the way through. And that should encourage someone right now. Mm-hmm. Some single mother,
Yes.
some mothers that's going through difficulties, you can pray your way through.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
Jennifer called me last week with an amazing testimony
Yes.
of increasing promotion on her job. Won't you describe that scenario with us?
I had to, it's time for renewals at the school, so it's time for you to get your new contract. And so we had already had a discussion before Easter, and it wasn't that positive what he was saying. But when they sent me the email to come last Tuesday, they had wanted to meet with me. I wasn't inferior about anything. I had prayed, I had read my scripture, and I had went on into the office, and the things that he said, first of all, he wanted to be fair. And then he said he wanted to do unto others as he would have them to do unto him. And then he mentioned the word integrity. I was sitting there, I was just shaking my head, and I just said, yes, sir. And then he mentioned he had been reading, and he wanted to share that with me, but the book that he got up to get wasn't there. Then he sat back down and he said, Women's Caraway is about 23 of y'all, and 22 teachers are not going to be happy today after you leave, because I have to call all y'all in. He said, but I'm going to renew your contract.
Wow.
But the other 22, he wasn't going to renew their contract. And then he said he didn't understand why he was doing it. But I told him I knew. I did. I knew. And then he kept going on, and you know, trying to say why he shouldn't.
Yes.
But then he came back and he was saying, you know, what he wanted for the next year. And then, I don't know why I'm doing this, you know. But that's how God works. He works like that. And, you know, I just let it go. I just let go and let God The favor of God.
Let go and let God. The favor of God is getting ready to turn it around in your favor.
Yes, Lord.
Don't give up.
Yes,
We
Lord.
celebrate God for Jennifer's story.
Yes.
Let's now flip it back over to Brother Sterling. Brother Sterling, like Sister Jennifer, you called me on last week with some great news about your career and your job. Promotion increase seems to just follow you. Won't you do me two things? First, share with me your, what I call your $2 story of how you arrived in Houston from St. Louis with just $2 in your pocket, and how God has elevated you over and over again in your career, and what happened to you last week on your job. Won't you share, brother?
Okay. So growing up, all I did was play football and go to school. So as my football aspirations came to an end, I graduated from college. I went back home to St. Louis, and I was just looking to get into business. I wanted to learn business, and so I looked up Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and Enterprise, the headquarters are based in St. Louis. And so I was like, well, it'll be a shoe-in. I fit the qualifications. They didn't hire me. And so from that point, I applied to maybe 40 different cities, and who would email me back for an interview. I didn't have an address in any of the cities, so a lot of people were saying, no, you have to live here, you have to live here. And I just wanted an opportunity. I would move there for the opportunity. And I trained in Houston in 2009, so I figured, well, let me try Houston. It's the one city I didn't even try yet. And so I emailed the recruiter, and he emailed me back and said, hey, here's some dates. I'll interview you if you can make it. At the time, I was fresh out of college. I didn't have any money at all. I wasn't doing anything illegal as well, so I didn't have any money. And as a man coming out of college, I really wanted to stand on my own 2 feet and make a way myself. So I had enough money to buy a train ticket down here. It was a one-way, so I didn't know how long I was going to stay.
Wow.
It was a one-way ticket, and with that ticket, left me with like $2 in my bank account. So I got down here, didn't have no money to do anything, honestly. So, but I found a way to the interview. I did 3 interviews in 2 days. Usually that process takes about 3 weeks to a month.
Wow.
And I was explaining, I was like, hey, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I only packed clothes for maybe a week. And they called me when I got the job, and I just prayed, thank God so much, because it was just an opportunity. I couldn't believe it. It was actually happening. I called my mom, called everyone back home, and everyone was really happy.
Wow.
And I told them I was just staying. I was going to start my life, and I was going to just start working here in Houston. And I just worked hard, and I just kept performing, kept getting promoted. And someone asked me one day, they said, because they said, why do you work so hard? Why do you do that? Even when people are not looking. I told them, and I was like, hey, promotions they don't come from men. Promotions comes from God. And I know that if I continue to work hard and I continue to do what I have to do, he will see that he will promote me.
Yes.
And promoted me 7 times. My more recent promotion.
7 promotions.
Yeah,
From
7.
$2 to 7 promotions. Wow, we give God praise for your transparency. And now I would be in a lot of trouble if you don't mention one other thing that you were blessed with in Houston since you've been here.
Oh, so I've been definitely blessed. When I started coming to Greenhouse, my lady Candace, she's always telling me, come to church with me, come to church with me, come to church with me. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. I never been a part of a church home. Growing up, I was just playing football. I'd never been a part of that. I always had strong faith, and I always knew my relationship with God, and never been a part of the church home. So coming, when I came to the church, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with you as my pastor, you as the leader in my life, and I know my life will be forever changed. I owe you a lot. It was always on my heart to be baptized, and you called me out to be baptized. I know that was the right decision.
So the Greenhouse International Church has had a positive influence on your life?
Most definitely. It's very impactful on my life, and it continues going to be impactful on my life. And it's going to, with that, I just hope God continues to use me to get the message to others. the impact is made.
Yeah.
How about you, Sister Jennifer? In closing, we experience a story from rejection to promotion, a story of overcoming obstacles to promotion. And in closing, what impact has the pastors of the Greenhouse International Church had on your life?
What the pastors of Greenhouse truly has impacted my life over the last 30 years. I see when I'm in the midst of the greenhouse it's so transparent that you can see that God is really moving, and you can see that you are a man of God that truly, truly love the people. And not only do you truly love the people, that the word that's on the inside of you, you just really want the people just to really get it. You just want us to really get it. The faith level that you have, I have seen and I have learned in my journey to have that same faith level. And you have to have people in your life that live it, that not only talk about it, but truly live it. And as Lady Deckard and Pastor Deckard, I know for a fact that they really live the word that they preach.
Praise
And
God.
they really live the faith level, you know. And I've learned and I've watched and I've grown in that area of faith, not to let things bother me. We're going to have obstacles, but we need to know that God has all things in control.
Amen. We thank both Stuart and Jennifer, and I want to invite each and every one of you who are viewing these interviews, these testimonies, who are following me abroad, social media. Stop being a follower and
Yes.
come
Yes.
and experience it for yourself.
Yes.
The Greenhouse International Church, the place you go to grow, to reach your full potential, is quickly becoming the place where God's favor
Yes.
turns it around into your favor. I love you. Bless you. See you soon.
God bless you.